like hip hop. Let's go ahead and get into it, okay? And it's a good one tonight. Lend your ears, come close. I think you guys will enjoy this one, okay? Poetry is like hip hop. Oh well. Poetry, it's like hip hop. Putting those nouns, verbs, adjectives together, making sentences, make it make sense nonstop, just like hip hop. Because we mix words, sometimes making it funny, emotional, intense, all for us to convince you that it is poetry, that is hip hop. Yes, we give stories, sometimes about nature, sometimes about life, things often detrimental like cutting tension with a knife, because it's poetry, it's hip hop. Now don't get it twisted. Try to understand what we say just using everyday words in a poetic, creative, artistic way, because poetry is like hip hop. Think about Biggie, talk about Nas, maybe KRS-One, Kendrick Lamar, we're not done. Rakim or Jay-Z, Tupac or T.I., can't forget Jadakiss, some of the skilled greats on the mic, top-notch lyricists that may consist of why poetry is like hip-hop. Good writings like Langston Hughes, my fave, then Nikki Giovanni paved ways, Gwendolyn Brooks, Douglas Randall, Lucy Smith, along with Tom Weatherly, showed us that writing is a gift. As the late great Dr. Maya Angelou talked about those phenomenal women the hood did not know exist. We all give good story using great lyrics. Sometimes in the compliment for when you stay in your lane, watch your mouth. You don't get dissed. Because poetry is like hip hop. Poets don't have the music. Our words are our rhythm. Our words are the flow, igniting us to use your mind, just thinking before you go. Like many in the streets, together at the curb, giving facts of history like you never heard, because poetry is like hip hop. Like sanitation, the poet collects the trash, yet cleaning it up easy with a pen as your verbal mop, because poetry is like hip hop. The beat is in your head. The thought is where we meet. Spitting out conjunctions like Black Thought on the Roots beat. Because poetry is like hip hop. While some may snap their fingers, others clap their hands, just climbing a Lauryn Hill for an educational lyrical feel. Because I told you, poetry is like hip hop. Sometimes a metaphor to keep you thinking more. Sometimes this poetry is so deep, it bypasses your mental corridor. Because this poetry is just like hip hop. Tell us stories about where you've been, talking about where you are going, sometimes in hatred's face without them even knowing. If you listen to the poetry from end to end, it really is like hip hop. Cultural triumph, cultural wins, because poetry is just like hip hop. Now, I am not trying to convince you to listen to what you dislike. I am just trying to let you know that poetry and hip hop brought the wins from struggle to light. Because poetry is like hip hop. Guys, that's the end of the poem.